Operated by Communistation Company Limited, located in Stuart Castle, Duncan's Trelawney, Jamaica. We broadcast on FM 96.7 locally and is heard worldwide on fitfmja.com. Our mission is to amplify diverse voices and opinions, inform, educate, entertain, and engage listeners of all ages and lifestyle while promoting responsible community development. Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
Are you struggling with loneliness? Feeling depressed? Are you searching for a purpose to live? Are you ready to tap into your inner greatness? Ready to soar to your full potential? Come and be inspired. Join me, Dr. Asha Mwendo, on Healing Moment inside Gospel and Soul every Wednesday, 6 p.m., where we will help you to understand your purpose. We will help you to find your wind. We'll show you how to open your wings and fly. Healing Moments, Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. Good evening, my people. How are you this evening? Big shout out to all my listeners. Thanks, DJ Snow, for setting the pace for us before you go. And so now you know, it's your girl, Dr. Asha Mwendo, on Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. We are here for a wonderful time this evening. So all my listeners in Europe, Africa, right here in Jamaica, in Asia, the US, and all over Jamaica. And my friends down in Balaclava that reached out to me today, I'm coming your way tomorrow. So look out for me. I'll be doing some road trotting tomorrow. And I'm starting off with Balaclava in the morning. So look out for me. I will be there. Yes, so you know the drill already, you know. I want you to be a part of the conversation. So how do you join me this evening? You listen to me streaming live on fitfmja.com or on radio at FitFM 96.7 on all social media platforms at FitFM 96.7. And of course, you can join the conversation by sending us a message on WhatsApp at 876-478-9144 or 876-317-1991. And as usual, you know, Healing Moments join the call for elimination of violence against women and girls. A matter of fact, we are now saying all violence, let's stop it. I have an awesome guest with me this evening. Her name is Claudette Wilmot. You'll hear more about her as we go along. And we're going to be talking about, life skills and how we use them to understand and to deal with conflicts and to, make ourselves heal as a people and a nation. But you know the drill already. You're going to get a pen, get your book, get your sip, tell a friend, listen to this until we come right back.
In the footprints of who's been here before. Not just some other mortal. Oh no, it's something more. Like a spirit that lives on through every age and time. But like a thought, although eternal, still occupy your mind in space and time. Space and time. Space and time. Space lights. So many blackness streams, and it's shining in their eyes. But dreams are nothing new. We've all had dreams before, but who can make a dream and make it something more in that time? In that time, 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 in that time. Oh, oh, sing with me now. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, oh, I know you can do it. Oh, oh, yeah. Your life is there before you. Your time is moving on. In just a little while, it's gonna seem your life is gone. So take your chance and make it into something that will grow. Don't let the evening find you with nothing there to show.
Welcome back. You're listening to Billy Mystic's music. And, you'll hear a little bit about him later on because the person, my guest this evening, is related to him somehow. We'll tell you later on. But as we do our Let's Talk before I bring my guest on, in my Let's Talk this evening, I want to remind you that Dave Gale is still doing the charity work down in Westmoreland, and he still needs your support. They have started to put blocks up now, people. Things are happening. Please help to make someone's life better. And as you know, Healing Moments is brought to you by Wellness in Motion. And Wellness in Motion with Dr. Asher Muendo is putting on Dr. Asher's 30-day wellness challenge on Facebook. So you have to go to Facebook, look for Dr. Asher's 30-day wellness challenge, send us a link to bring you in and come on board and let us work with you to be the best you at any age. Stress less, feel younger, lose weight, stop pain, and feel great. So we're inviting you to join us over on Dr. Asher's 30-day wellness challenge to sort out yourself that you can be great. And yes, over in Runaway Bay at Amifi Tell You, Farmers Market is still going on every week. They still have space for more farmers. So contact Jennifer at 876-853-4455. And that is Farmers Market in Runaway Bay at Amifi Tell You. And so call them. It's really good every week. I was there last week and it was great. So go out this week. It's going to be tomorrow. Did I tell you it's Thursday? So it's every Thursday at Runaway Bay at Amifi Tell You. Contact Jennifer at 876-853-4455 for more information. And as we continue our Let's Talk this week, we're always talking about something topical, something that's happening. And for me, it still is the haunting that we have of crime and violence upon our nation and the poor use of the roads, people. Today is Wednesday and we have lost so many lives and young lives as well. Just yesterday in Trelawney, we have had an accident on our Duncan's bypass. A young lady perished in the fire. I hear about a child that was killed in the Lilliput area, and then another young lady who was hit off the back of a bike and she was killed as well. She's one of the hotel workers, and I've heard of so many others. Come on, let's be responsible in using the roads. And I am asking anybody listening on anywhere in the world, and you have any gadget that I can use to shut down some of the bikes, please, I want one. The bikes, them giving me a hard time. I'm having challenge to work from home because of the bikes in my area. Sunday morning, I was to do a live and I couldn't do it because the bikers were having a grand time at 6 o'clock in the morning on my street. And now there's another young man with a four-wheel something. He is haunting us as well. We need to be responsible. We need to remember that we should be our brother's keeper and we need to be neighborly with others. And if you're going to have your bike, you're removing the sound damper out of it. My goodness, don't start so early in the morning. Be careful and mindful of others. So I am having that challenge at home. I don't know if others are having it, but let's talk about it. We need to get it right. And we need to work together and be our brother's keeper. And that is one of the problems we have that is causing crime and violence as well. Everybody's selfish, and we need to cut it out. And as we go on in our conversation this evening, I'm quite sure my guests will show us some ways we can deal with our conflicts. And maybe, who knows, I learned something that will help me to deal with my biker friends, right? I also want to remind us that poverty is a concept that we need to break. Poverty is a concept we need to break over our families. So we need to reach out, we need to come together, we need to come up with plans on how we can break the curse of poverty over our family and start showing our families how we move together forward and increase our family wealth and how we grow together. And as Wellness in Motion says to you, we are a holistic company that helps you to get your entire life on par. The things that we don't do in-house, we'll find someone who can do it for you. But talk to us and get your life on track. It's the right time. The right time is the moment you woke up this morning. It's always the right time. The right time is when you hear the message now and it resonates with you and you said, I want more. This is the time for more. And as we tell you, come next month, we'll be talking about our Lantern in the Window program, where we assist women who are victims of domestic violence and intimate partner violence. And so we'll be doing some talking on what we have been doing with that, how you can partner with that, and how we can move forward together. So guess what? My producer is going to just give one little ding of the music and we transition over into our program for this evening.
Alongside Mystical Villas. Yeah. Now Blizzard is the man that walking on the coast of the garden and see the sky fall. Now stand Louise of sinners.
Oh, religion.
All the lights in the laugh land. And the laugh land that meditate day and night. I do remember that God they are not so. No man like soldier alongside Billy Mystic say.
Yeah.
Step up Billy Mystic.
Tell about religion. If you don't know, all the things that I know. Babylon taking a division. I know, and the Bible says so. You can't come tell about religion. If you don't know, all the things that I know. Babylon taking a division. I know. See, it was you. Just like scribes and the Pharisees, you never knew. No. When Christ come, that's the way he would be. Couldn't take no DJ to riding in a Palm Sunday. You couldn't take a naughty jet riding in a Palm Sunday. And man, you want to come tell about religion, and you don't know all the things that I know. Babylon taking a division. So listen, Storgy, I'll make him tell you when.
Okay, so there you hear it again. So this evening, my guest and I will be talking a little bit about conflict and understanding how we deal with conflicts to reduce conflict and its impact. So who is my guest this evening? My guest this evening is Miss Claudette Wilmot. And she is so much, she's a whole lot of woman in packaging of the one. And one of the things I like about her, I know about her, and maybe what brought us together is that she's an advocate against injustice. She's an advocate for persons who are affected by domestic violence and any other kind of violence. And she's an advocate for persons who what we are calling persons with disabilities. So she's a advocate for that as well. She worked with the HIV program. We have done a lot of things alongside and together. And so this evening, I will introduce to you and I welcome to our platform on Healing Moments with your host, Dr. Asha Mwendon, Fit FM 96.7. We say good evening, Claudette. Walk on.
Well, on, Dr. Asha. My background will be a little bit noisy. I tried to find the best spot in the yard.
All right.
I am part of a big yard and a band is rehearsing, but they are being good. They're really trying.
Nice.
So I hope that you'll be able to hear me all right.
One of the
Okay.
things about healing moments is we say to people, we come to you living live and
When you
happening.
when you're
And
living life,
is like that as well. So we are living, we are
yes,
community, we are a
yes,
people. Things keep happening, girl. As long
yes.
as the listeners can hear you, me good.
All right. So they're in the background. They're doing their. Oh, I think they stopped. But yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Asha.
So
Yes.
Claudette, tell the people who Claudette
Um,
is. That's the first
I
thing we are
was,
doing.
I was just.
Who is Claudette?
Hmm?
Who is Claudette? Tell the people
Okay. All right. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
consider myself to be a seeker of
Mm-hmm.
knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And why I say that is that I've always been trying to find my purpose. I never knew what I was going to be when
Mm-hmm.
I grew up.
Yes.
And part of the problem was that I didn't, I was very aware from very early,
Mm-hmm.
very aware. Like, I don't know when I couldn't read.
Mm-hmm.
My godmother was a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
she was next door. I walked early, talked early, toilet trained early. So I crawled through the fence. I'm in school.
Mm-hmm.
You're among that environment, you learn.
Yes.
So I don't remember being taught to read. I've just been remember of being aware and
Mm-hmm.
more aware than many people um, would 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 realize. And so because of that, I tried to with my own children try to communicate with them from very early and to
Mm-hmm.
put label on things
Mm-hmm.
because in terms of helping children to understand the environment, sometimes simple things like knowing that this is a dresser, that is a
Yes.
wardrobe, and it's not just put it on the sinting.
Yes.
But what
Yes.
I'm saying, I read a lot.
Yes.
So I'm a reader. So my mind would take flights of fancy, and because of that, I would be slow to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I understand clearly, but by the time I'm ready to communicate, my mind I've gone way past that long time.
Yes. Yeah. Then
And
move on.
if I were to say something, it would seem irrelevant. So I might be silent and observant. So I've learned to be an observer.
Yes.
So I see myself as a participant observer.
Okay. Whatever
Yes.
that is. But although you call yourself an observer, I know you to be quite vocal when the time is needed.
Oh, yes. Because observation skills.
Mm-hmm.
Observation skills. So part of observation skills is trying to be ready in a
Mm-hmm.
situation. So if I am advocating for persons with disability, I'm going to be speaking on their behalf, not on my
Yes.
behalf alone. So I need to understand the environment. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we found ourselves together in those committees, I had
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I was on par to
Yes,
keep
ma'am.
up. And you also were among that group. And because of that, we could do so much with
Mm-hmm.
our time in the limited time. So, but
Yes.
a greater understanding of self has come over time. You find
Mm-hmm.
yourself, you have certain inherent things that you are there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you react, you are in situations, and people were nurturing towards me growing up
Yes.
because of the fact that I was a well-behaved child. I didn't cry off anything. I wasn't greedy. I understood, you know.
Hmm.
So they like to take care of me. But
Yes.
in our culture, still, we don't play enough with the babies
No, we
once
don't,
they get to a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in order to understand self, even the way in which some families deal with conflict, because I grew up in a bubble,
Mm-hmm.
meaning my family was very big,
Mm-hmm.
my on both sides, but I tell you, I am a participant observer. I am very polite and everything, but if I were to voice my opinion, I would be questioning. I
And
remember
I always say if sometimes we voice our opinion all the time, people go vex sometime all the time.
exactly. And so it made me realize that even dealing with my own children, I had to teach them to be able to express themselves, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a lack of understanding of oneself leads one to do all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
You still have a certain amount of dignity about you, so some things may not do, and
Right.
some things we will do. But there are some people who don't know themselves to the extent that they can be swayed into everything and anything because of how maybe they were raised. And
Yes.
we hear about adverse childhood experiences that impact on children.
Mm-hmm.
And Jamaica have a lot. We experience a lot, because even just the bike accidents and the crime and the domestic violence and all of that,
These
because
issues
these
impact the
issues,
children's growth.
right? And I never noticed that so much when I was growing up. I remember hearing about a man who had used a machete and he had chopped his woman, and I was in a state of shock because I never saw that happening between my parents. I never
Right.
saw that happening between my grandparents. I didn't see it really, you know, but I heard about it. There was one particular gentleman I heard that he would used to beat his lady, but then my mother is a champion fighter, so I am from a strong woman too,
Yes.
But I think I'm come from a humble background, very humble background in Spanish Town on a little hilltop, and I'm left-handed, so it made me aware of differences.
Yes. All right. So Claudette, we
Yes,
have happened. You invited me. You opened the door to
yes,
for me to do some further life skill awareness studies.
yes,
And
mhm,
then I had some time. I still doing the course, the classes, not so
yes,
good student sometimes,
hmm,
and because life happens.
life happens.
However, I have been following this whole process. So before
Yes,
we even start this conversation, I want you to tell me a little of the background of, because as I was saying to
okay,
Julia, laughing with Julia here about
mhm,
your title and all of that, I said to her, I don't remember what Ofi called them something here.
okay.
However, I
Mhm.
wanted to give us a little background about that part of the life that
Yeah,
you're now living and
I'm trying
leading
to position
into.
myself so you
Right,
have seen me.
right.
Oh man, I'm not used to this camp. Yes, all right. So, all right, let me try and keep myself in the yes.
Yes,
So,
stay in the camera. Yeah.
in
We're not
camera.
seeing you good now. Ah,
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
a
Let me
little
come
better
like this. All right. So, I was um I was introduced to the digital currency
now.
by
Mm-hmm.
someone, and that led me on a search because I heard about the African kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Led me on a search, and I started to go to this Monday summit where I
Mm-hmm.
found out about the Empress of the South, as she's called, the Queen of the South, the Queen Mother.
Mm-hmm.
She is Queen Sheba the Third, actually
Mm-hmm.
born in Trinidad from the Queendom of Sheba. She's a matriarch, and when she came into her throne in 2000, she went back to Africa. It took a while for all the ceremonies and so on to be done for her to be given her title of queen, but she formed the African Kingdom Federation, which is similar to the United States or European Union or the African Union in that it's members, but the members are the traditional kings and queens of Africa, and there are thousands of them because
Mm-hmm.
all of them trace their roots back to the Queen of Sheba. And
Okay.
so it's been an amazing journey learning about this, knowing that our roots are not only limited to the slavery, but right here in the Caribbean. And this is what I found fascinating that I see here as a bridge, that they came here in like the 1840 something, but they came in right after slavery when
Mm-hmm.
Sudan and that area where they had occupied, they had put in dams and so on, and they were invited out and actually prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And the premier, Innocent Clark of Trinidad and Tobago, he was a grand uncle of the Queen of Sheba. and the
Okay.
family has kept their lineage. They've kept a record of their lineage and everything. Actually, I found out that the queen in the Bible, she's actually Makeda. I'd known that, but
Mm-hmm.
this queen, she is Queen Sheba based on her birth sign. So she is Queen Sheba of the Queen of Sheba.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a member of the African Kingdom Federation, which is the parliament, and it's an international parliament that she's establishing, and she has established. But she is very keen on preparing for the reset. And by the reset, it's about preparing humanity, because the way we look at it, all come from Africa. So by heritage, by descent, whether you came out before the ice age or whatever, it goes back to Nubia. It all goes back, and all history points you right back there as a cradle of civilization. Hence, the first the first ruler, Africa is called Mama Africa for a reason. And all the kings and the traditional kings, they use this leopard skin as a sign of their allegiance to Sheba. I didn't know that. So to the Africans, this was like, when I was picking up on their vibes and their energy, because being a part of this, understanding the message that she wants, and it's a message of peace, and for people and for prosperity, and to focus on humanity. And I am for that, because that's what I've been doing all my life, and it fitted into a bigger picture. So now I had to engage in these life skills, because I wanted to be a task force officer. I'd been a social worker. So I said, okay, I've been a social worker. I can do this. As a matter of fact, it doesn't even require me to repatriate, because wherever I am, Africa is. And so basically, I just need to make my neck of the woods a better place for all humanity. So anything that I'm doing, it can fit in. And so I started to engage in these life skills. For some persons, I found that they thought that they were challenging, because you see, when you want to cut bread, you can use a bread knife, but if you use a butcher knife, you're going to chaka it. And these courses are from the volunteer ministry of the Scientology website. And Scientology had always gotten a bad rap, to the extent that I was never interested in looking at that. But I'm a researcher. I'm a seeker after knowledge. When you have to go, you're going to look about information, as you know, to help your people. And when you see the people on the ground, because even in terms of Jamaica and persons living in HIV, and the fact that they were using their bush medicine and all kind of things, and these things, and some of them delayed taking the medication until they had to, because they knew that they didn't have the money to continue certain things, and so how they survived and so on, and we're innovative. So when so I'm willing to try things to help my people. And so I looked at it and I started, and I found that they also helped me.
Right.
Because what I consider myself to be a scientist too. And this is basically all it is a science of learning. So it takes things and it just breaks it down to a simple formula. I told you, all my life I've been searching for myself. Even when I met my husband and he said, "What's your purpose in life?" I didn't know. So I said, "I'm going to try to do good." Okay, so I've been trying to do good. And in any situation I find myself, I try to do good. Okay, till I reach a stage that I say I'm working for the nation, because I've never, what do you call it, voted.
Yes.
I've never voted for any political party. I call myself a nationalist. At one point, I was going to repatriate or migrate to Africa. And then I had to stay. We had to stay to take care of elderly relatives who died in their 80s. And we grew our children here. So I decided that I'm not going that route. This is it. And so I started to work for the people, for the nation. And since I have no political allegiance, and I understand people coming from the poor, and I've been, as you matriculate and you go through and you acquire your knowledge and your resources, and you get married and you pool, you also rise up in your circumstances. And my work takes me from anywhere, and I can be comfortable. And because of my left hand and knowing about differences and understanding, and then just being fortunate enough to have people with disability embrace me and being able to advocate for them, I look for social change. And I actually I demand social change.
Of course.
So we
We have
get
to
in there.
find it in our spaces.
So the life skills have helped me. Have helped me a lot. The one on the components of understanding.
Yes.
Actually,
So just before you go into that, I want to say to my listeners, thank you for listening in to us. You're listening to Dr. Asha Muendo on Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7. I have Melcinda and Pauline here. Good evening, Pauline. I see your message. Good evening, Melcinda. And all the other persons who are listening in. I see you. I hear you. I see the messages coming in on my personal instrument. Remember, you can send us your questions on our WhatsApp line on 876-478-9144 and 876-317-1991. And if you want to know more about what Claudette is doing, send your messages in and she will contact you. So now, Claudette, I have been doing some of the lessons myself. And I'm really, really enjoying the learning. It gives me a new perspective on even how we administer life skill to persons. But the
yes.
two topics I want us to focus on this evening is understanding, and then how link it to how understanding assists us in dealing with conflicts and
All right.
understanding why we have conflicts and how we deal with conflicts. So
Okay.
take it away.
All right. So when you think of understanding and you want to break down understanding, it's easy. Just think ARC.
Mm-hmm.
The A actually is affinity,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of liking you have to something. If you can stand to be in the person's space, if you want to be like that person, those would be our measures of to the extent that you want those things.
Yes.
That's the degree of your affinity.
Mm-hmm.
And at the other end, if you have no affinity at all for the person or the idea or the thing, whatever, you're not going to want to be around it.
No.
So a reality, which is the R,
Mm-hmm.
is whatever we make real.
Yes.
For example, I'm talking to you now.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm talking about my experiences, maybe someone is sharing my experiences
Right.
and understand exactly what I'm saying when I explain to you that I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. And
Right.
yet I traveled right through school in the one class, in the first stream. So if you have grade one, I'm in grade 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, all the way up to university until I discovered that I'm a social worker. I'm doing good. I know.
I like the way you put it covered.
I know. Yes, I know everything has brought me to a point. So my reality is shared by many other people out there who want to do good.
Yes.
Like you, Dr. Asha, like the lady that go around and help people, the Auntie Donnas and the others and so on, and people who you don't even know about.
It's true.
But the persons in their community who know them, they're there for them, and that reality is real. The reality of domestic violence is real for some people because there is an agreement that this is real, because the day one person get up and said, "This is not my life, I am leaving it done."
Yes. Yes.
So the next part of it now, having this affinity and this reality, but if I like the thing and we share that connectedness and say this is solid,
yes,
then now you find that we can start communicating much better. And when we communicate and we understand each other, we can respect difference in opinions. We can come to agreements. And we can have disagreements, but we don't have to fight over it.
No, we can agree to disagree.
Yes, so it's when we can disagree and it become a conflict. No, arguments will sort out themselves. But there's usually somebody else, a third party, that's in there causing the conflict. But I'm talking now mostly about the whole ARC. And if you think of a triangle with each corner, one of the A, one of the R, one of the C,
Mm-hmm.
If you start working on affinity, say for example, you and somebody, you have a falling out,
Yes.
but it's your friend and you really miss her. And maybe when you look into yourself, you say, you know, she never have to go on to, but I never have to go on to either.
You're right.
And if it is so and so, they say it to me, you know, I wouldn't even care. 'Cause I mean, I care about she. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but you care about this one. So how you going to build affinity?
Mm-hmm.
You remember such a like romance novel, so you pass by and go to the bookshop and you just buy two romance novel and you drop them off and say, "Hey, kid, you know, send me the pass one, so I see this and I think you'll like it."
You're right.
Immediately, right there, now you raise our affinity, and your affinity and you can talk. I say, "You
Mm-hmm.
read it?" I say, "No, you know, me don't want you read it first, and then me not have the time now. But when me have time, you can tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
That something real there, so I start to communicate
You're right.
and
And so
say, mm-hmm,
and so what I'm understanding here now is that affinity, liking something or liking someone,
mm-hmm,
opens a door and creates an opportunity for
mm-hmm,
us to be realistic about how we feel about each other and to create
mm-hmm,
communication. It's like I always say, and it is my position, and I'm not going to step away from it. If I get to understand that you have said or done something that is over to me or hurting, something that hurts me, something bad,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I will. Most times I hear, I don't hear because I don't care.
Yes.
But if I know you are someone who I would like, I have an affinity for, and I would
Mm-hmm,
want us to have a continued relationship, I
mm-hmm.
will always make an effort for us to have a realistic communication about the matter. However, if I realize that,
One moment. Are you hearing my background?
yes, but don't worry about it, it's not too loud.
Okay.
They can
Okay. All
calm
right.
down, no problem, but don't pay much attention to them. That's okay.
Okay.
When it
Okay.
gets too much, I'll tell you.
All right.
If it gets too much.
Okay. It's a component of understanding playing out there.
Yes, so I understand, and I'm quite sure my listeners understand as well.
Yes.
Right. So if I care about having a relationship with you and reducing conflict, I am going to have a communication with you. I'm going to talk with you about the matter. But if in
Mm-hmm.
the process of having that conversation, we cannot
Mm-hmm.
come to a good grounding because maybe there are other persons in the game that are causing the problem as a third party there, I am
Yes.
willing to walk away. It doesn't mean that my affinity for you is any less. It means my
Mm-hmm.
affinity for you is so great that I don't want us to continue having a conflict. So I will
And
walk
that's okay.
find out the third party, and if we can bridge, we bridge.
And that's okay, you know, because what you're talking there about now is leading us straight now into well, I'm thinking about emotional tones
Yes.
because affinity, hello,
Claudette,
affinity,
remember you're on radio. You can't call to them so loud.
sorry, affinity is also the emotional, emotional tones are also
Mhm.
called tones of affinity.
Yes.
And you know, your emotion, the people, when you try, depending on their emotion, if a person is angry,
Yes.
maybe you can't get through to them at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
you walk away and give them time to think about it, but you would have moved their feeling from anger, and
Yes.
you can raise it up a bit to maybe antagonism.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time you go back, you try to raise them again. Maybe they get
Mm-hmm.
bored with you. But you
Yes.
know what? You keep at it, and then next time they're like a conservative, and you
Mm-hmm.
keep at it until they start to open up because
Yes.
they start to have either they see the reality and that build an affinity, or
Mm-hmm.
based on the affinity, it rise the reality. But whatever it is, once you start working on one end of the triangle, it automatically start have effect otherwise. And that
Of
is the
course.
beauty of the simplicity of it. Because today I was listening to the radio
You're right.
and I heard this DJ saying that we need to have conflict resolution, let me
This
have dispute resolution. And I was thinking, no, I've been through dispute resolution. I have been that, and you go in and you counsel the people and you mediate and you so on, and they gone back and they chop up each other. So at what level is there a sense of understanding of self?
Yes.
Understanding of self to know that you can make your environment less dangerous by just rising somebody affinity, communicating with them, understanding that your emotion also have a communication factor.
Yes.
Because you can tell by body language and not just speech.
Right.
Just a look.
Mm-hmm.
You
A lot
know?
of us grew up with that look from
Yes.
the parents.
And sometimes the look is all because of a misunderstanding, because maybe they see you look. You know, and but if you have these life skills, you can read people, because people's emotion will change during the course of a day. But some people are usually at a certain level. Most of the time you hear people say,
Yes.
can't take her, she miserable, you see. Because when you have those kind of tones, you have no value as a friend. So when you're a happier person, you find that people want to come around you.
Yes.
So you, by being just knowing or even understanding these things, can even try to lift your own emotional tone. Sometimes you can also take a walk.
Yes.
When you come home from work, you don't go back on the computer. I used to do the same thing. I'm at the office on the computer and I come home and it's right on the computer, and I am not creating the moment for the family anymore, because everybody doing their own little thing, and then we can start to have problems. So life skills are important, and I do believe that everybody needs to have the life skills.
Yes.
Everybody needs to have the life skills, because
I believe if we get the support and start to doing more of the life skill trainings in the communities, starting with where we have the conflicts. And one of the challenge I have in this country and in a lot of countries as well is that we tend to have this focus where we're having the problems, we give them everything they want, and in the areas where we have less conflicts, less challenges, we leave them and we abandon them until the conflict become great as well, instead of having a unified approach of helping everybody. So we reduce and prevent. We tend to reduce, work on reducing. And I believe that some communities allow violence to rise and the conflicts to rise, that persons can come in and do interventions and give them handouts and all of that. And if we apply life skills, conflict management, and even self-love and understanding of self more in communities, those with that with violence producers and those without, we will see better movement.
I have worked in a community that you would call violent, for violent producers, because I've worked in the inner city.
Yes.
And it's a small percentage are the violence producers.
True.
A very small percentage. The majority of people are trapped.
Yeah.
They're trapped in overcrowded condition. Some of them, well, at the agency I used to work with, we had to write recommendations so people could get jobs. The youths would sometimes, some of them would go on the streets to beg.
Yes.
Because not everybody on the street don't have anywhere. Some of them go back home with a little money. And so it's about, how do we understand each other? Yes. How do I understand self and have that amount of responsibility to know that if I'm going to have a child, I can take care of that child?
Yes.
Because there are certain drivers. For example, we did a workshop with teenage mothers. And, and they said to me, Miss Wilmot, woman like you not to have sex. You're too old. You have to leave that to we. So, okay. So that means your boyfriend will be like 19. Well, Miss man, 24.
Mm.
And and so we have that in the culture. And there, but I have seen things can change around,
Yes.
because we did workshops, parenting workshops, and within one parenting workshop, parents start to support one another. Parents supported each other even across boundaries. When Tivoli was in this thing, there were parents outside who came from JLP area who was calling people in there to ask, how are you? And
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And they came together through projects put on by the ministry. And they made differences in their school. But one of the things you said, if you focus on the negative, you're going to get the negative.
Yes.
And there are false reports when it comes on to conflict. I found that a lot of the conflict was retaliation.
Yes.
Somebody do somebody something, and somebody going to retaliate. But our families are comprised. The family split up and blend up, and the retaliation can come from anywhere, because one man can have 3 matey women, and all of them have children for him, and the women might be fighting, but the children are not.
True.
And so when you do somebody something here, so the person brother down there so feel it,
Yes.
and going to do something, and then somebody going to do him something, and when they do him something, it's not only the link to that father, but the mother is a different mother, so you have a whole link to another tribe of people that somebody care about. And so that is why we're caught in this cycle of mediation, because false reports, people mix up the sequence, them drop out things, them add in things, them tell lies, because that is what false reports are.
Yes.
Send people go to prison too, because them all write it in statements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And they do all of these things. And this is like a never-ending cycle. So the life skills, I know we're talking about component of understanding, but like I say, each one leads to something else.
It interlinks.
You know, so the life skill talk about even integrity and honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how to grow children who are well adjusted, right? And so, you know, and in the area of conflict, it show you about them need to investigate,
Yes.
because sometimes them kill the wrong man,
Mm-hmm. A lot of times.
and them sent to say they're sorry. And if the families are grieving, you are targeted. So we need a change of mindset. We need a reset.
Mm-hmm.
We need, and the thing is, I find is that, you know, people don't understand themselves because they see themselves as one thing.
Yes.
And even when I was training and I was talking about we are more than one thing, I would use some scenes like, if you're going to make ton corn meal, how many different ways can you make ton corn meal? And people would tell me all them different ways, who had chicken back and who had peas and this and that and coconut milk and so on. And I said, supposing I put too much salt in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd use the spices to say you need to balance your life, social, physical, intellectual, cultural, and so on. And we talk and them gone.
Mm-hmm.
But with the life skills now, I learned that if you look at your dynamics of existence, why the survival,
Mm-hmm.
and if you look at it in terms of your urge to survive as a dynamic, you have 8 different type of urges.
Yes.
And at urge 1, it is an individual level. You, things that you're going to do to make yourself healthy, your mental health and wellness.
Yes.
This program, you know, engage in programs like these and the exercises that you are doing with people. And at the same time, as we look, we're in our family, which is our second dynamic, whether you're in there as a child, as a part of a family.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're a child, in terms of your personal dynamics, you're under the control of adults, but you are a person
Mm-hmm.
who going to grow up and remember
Oh,
in
yes.
this, and I got turn your back on some people in here say, wicked.
True. Now I've nothing to do with them.
And the family break down because we should have been building
Yes.
instead of fracturing. But we were taught to be slaves, but nobody taught us free.
True.
So I find that by understanding how we learn, it's not a religion. It's understanding how we learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's empowering, and I think that's what people are afraid of, because then people going to understand their purpose. But people need to understand our purpose because the dynamics are
It's true.
on other levels. Because the third dynamic, it speaks to the second one was the family, the third one is groups.
Yes.
You in the workplace, we as a nation, we as a set of people, but so always see ourselves in that.
Right.
Some people group take over their lives. I remember one lady, she came to a training and everything started already, and she was angry because she was the first one at the school where they were going to gather.
Right.
But she would fell asleep inside of a classroom and everybody come and they left. And they made a presentation and she felt badly. So she wanted to present, and everybody had heard the presentation against her, like they were bored. And so she took it personally and she was whatever. So we had to stop and had a moment where we talk and explain and communicate and so on. And so she told us that the night before she had been to crusade and she come in late and the husband hadn't even taken out the chicken out of the fridge or anything anymore at dinner. And she had to stab up the chicken and she don't even eat chicken. So this Christian woman come in tired and thing and fall asleep. Her spirituality is so high that she's creating conflict in her yard.
Yes.
You see? And the spirituality is at the seventh dimension, so dynamics. So when as you move, and all of these things, it's not like one happened than the other, as I had learned about moral development and when you're a certain age, this happened and that happened. No. All of these are in you happening together like development at the same time. And you have to try and
need to be balanced.
everything balanced.
Yes.
So
Need to be balanced.
a healthy appreciation for humanity, a healthy appreciation for all life forms. Then you're not gonna lick down people off a bike, you're not gonna kill people, you're not gonna do that because you're in you.
Yes.
Yeah, and you nurture that, your spirituality. And then you can got in touch with infinity and see your whole purpose of being. So we have a lot of people here who have no idea, like myself, what their purpose was. So we need to understand it. And because we don't understand, then there's disagreement, because the component of understanding, I go back to that, is the ARC, communication of a formula tool. As you know, Dr. Asha.
Yes.
Right? Communication is broken down too, and we can go into that another time. But communication is like you're the cause. And maybe it's even I was the cause. Because I introduce you, I target you.
Yes.
Because I know you are doing good work. And I say, I wonder what Dr. Asha would do with this. And I send it to you, and I was in a state of shock that the effect caught your attention.
Yes.
So, and that was my intention, to make you aware of this.
Yes.
And then you immerse yourself in it and you start to fire back some things inside of the training and wow.
Yeah.
And applying it and seeing where. And so you are duplicating it with understanding. And that is a formula of communication. And many times the children don't duplicate with understanding, and we are talking to them and they don't understand.
And you see, and that is one of the importance in everything. Speaking the language of the person you're trying to reach is extremely important.
Exactly.
If you're going to talk to people above their heads. So you went to university, so what? When you come out now, you're going to work with the people. Use words that they understand.
Exactly.
Set examples. Teach like Jesus. As I normally like to say, I remember once I went somewhere to do a workshop with young mothers, teen moms as well. I think it was over in Thomas, if my memory serves me right. I went with the I remember which group it was with at the time, but they invited me to come and do training. But I remember after everything was finished, one of the young teen moms and her mom that was invited as well came over to me and said to me, "Yeah, Christian." So I asked her, "Why did you ask?" And she said, "Because I teach like Jesus. You know, so I use it in them
Oh,
in the ear.
right.
So
Yes.
when you go home, you can't figure out this." And
Yes.
that's what we need to do. Talk to people
Yes.
in language. Don't talk
Yes.
down to them. Talk to
No.
them in the language that they can understand.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're applying the principle of life skills, so some of us going to come to do the life skills training the way we are taught and whatever it
Yes.
is. But
Yes.
we do these things in such a way that when we leave, the people them still don't know why we come.
No.
And we say we do intervention, and we say we
Mm-hmm.
do training, and
Mm-hmm.
so that community should have reduced conflict, and they should be
Mm-hmm.
able to do conflict management.
Yes.
People hear the word conflict management 100 times, but when
Yes.
you have left, they still don't understand it.
Understand. But
They
when
still
you
don't
can
understand
understand your emotional tone, and you know that when I'm angry,
it. Mm-hmm.
and you look into yourself, you realize there's something you fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to deal with that." Just by trying to deal with the situation, you're rising up yourself. And if
Mm-hmm.
we can do that, even our children and people around us, we're going to make the community a safer space.
That is it. That is it.
Safer space.
And even as the neighborhood watch president, national neighborhood watch president for the islands at this time, some of the things I'm looking at is how do we go into communities? I don't want us to continue live a responsive life. I don't want to be responding to crime and violence. I don't want to be responding
Mhm.
to somebody killing somebody and we put an entourage together
Mhm.
and we go and visit. I want us to be going in, be proactive, putting programs in place, using
Mhm.
life skills to help people to see who they are, know who they are, and
Mhm.
then equip them to rise above their circumstances that they can become
Exactly.
author of their own and designer of their own lives in such a way that they
Mhm.
now know how to not open the door for the violence producers. Because it doesn't matter what you do, there's going to be always somebody who's not going to follow the line. But when you have a
Exactly.
community strong enough not to give them the support they need, they have to move out
Yes.
of here and go somewhere. And if every other community start to build the same thing, you know that
Mhm.
violence will reduce in our country, crime will reduce, and the police will be able to solve more crimes, get more
Yes.
answers, and
Yes.
Jamaica will become a safer place to live, grow our
Exactly.
do business, and the whole 9 years and a little bit more.
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
So true. So true, Dr. Ashley.
Yes,
Yes. Yes. So
yes.
true, because
So
integrity
I
is a
remember
very big part of it.
in
Yes.
one of the sessions now, a
Mhm.
lady spoke of her own domestic situation,
Mhm.
growing up hating her mom
Yes.
and all of that story. And
Yes.
in another space of my life have lots of phases. We teach something about forgiveness, and
Mhm.
in forgiveness, understanding
Yes.
brokenness, because we know broken people create broken people.
Yes.
And in the in the life skills training that we have been doing as well, she was able to use what she learned to
Yes.
go and look for the third party in the conflict in her
Yes.
family. And from that, she was able to create that healing. So I wanted to talk a little bit on a
About
scenario
that.
like that, or
Yes.
something similar in a
Well,
community
it
setting.
is a common scenario,
Yes.
because you find that Jamaican women,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to believe, don't some of them, the mother-in-laws, they don't want to allow their sons the freedom to have their lives, as they ought.
Right.
So there's always conflict between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
because
A lot
they
of
feel
time,
like either
yes.
something is happening, taking away support,
Mm-hmm.
or turn the son against me, you know, that kind of thing. And the children, when we bring children into the quarrels that the parents have,
Yes.
It's not a good thing. And that is what happened. The mother-in-law worked on her son
Yes.
and complained against the child's mom and created the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
And so, having poisoned the son, all the daughter could hear was terrible things about the mother. It's usually the other way around. You hear terrible thing about the father.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this little girl grew up. Well, she's a big woman, having nothing to do with her mother, have no affinity, can't stand the space her mother was in. And so we find these antagonism in many families. It may be an auntie who says something against that one, and if you and me stop talking, if we talk to so and so, and the children and cannot talk to this uncle and can't talk to that one, and it goes on, and it just continues. And sometimes we just hold things in and just bite the tongue until we can't bite it no more, and we just explode and say, I can't do the books.
Mm-hmm.
You
And we
know?
also have cases where families are feuding and they don't even
Yes.
know why.
It's
The
been
next
so
generation
long,
come along and continue the war.
and it
And if
continues.
you ask them why you don't talk to Uncle Tom children, because mama not talk to them. If you ask mama why, because fear mama never talk to them. And they don't even know where the conflict started. And sometimes it start over somebody they borrow somebody who and
Mhm.
carry back. So them
Yes,
vex over them who. Them don't vex over them who and dead and gone. But no generation down the road is
don't like
beating up
X,
each
Y,
other
and Z.
because they don't understand. I see it
Yes,
happening in my family.
yes. And so
And most families might have one branch where it is happening if they
yes.
really look into it. I've seen I talking to an uncle and
Mhm.
he thought when you mention a name, him get upset. And guess what, Claudette? By the way, Bex with dead gone about 3 centuries ago, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And they still have these
Still
things
have
going
it
on. And
going
that is
on.
why now, in dealing with conflict as a family, we need to investigate,
Exactly. And
understand
that
where the third party of vengeance
mhm.
started. And then the healing will start because the forgiveness will start. A matter of fact, you might have everybody sit down and laugh and say, then you mean say that did happen
Mhm.
the whole of
Mhm.
so and it's so funny because it's a simple thing, and everybody might just laugh and say, but look at us doing one bag of idiot.
And you know,
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Asha, the grandmother didn't even, I don't think she realized that she was being a third party, because when the young lady, having done the course on conflict and realized that in the conflict, you have the third party law,
Mm-hmm.
and that people will have arguments, and arguments are natural and people will resolve them. But if it becomes a conflict, it's because there's a third party, somebody who is unknown, who
Mm-hmm.
is there, who is actively causing problems and would be totally unsuspected. And so when she went to her mom, the mother said, go and talk to your granny.
Mm-hmm.
And when she went to the granny, she picked up all of the
Sorry.
negativity and
Mm-hmm.
realized where it was coming from. And there and then, she see that her reality shift.
Yes.
And now the mother, the affinity between her and the mother is very high because they're now trying to make up for all of that. But why do we have to go through all of that and make up? Why don't we work at it with our children from now and break the cycle? Can you say, Dr. Asha, that we are tending to focus on the negatives? And I agree. And when I was working in the inner city, that's all we were doing. We were seeking funding to deal with this and crime and unemployment. And so, actually, when I left that agency, I went back in. And this time I said, I'm going to build on strength. Because
Yes.
the first time I heard that someone say that was Aldwin Belanfanti. He was doing some program with some all-age school, and they were trying to bring the all-age schools into high school. And he says it does not work from a deficit model. He
Amen.
works from strength. I'm going to say, me like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back in to try to build on strength, but COVID kind of caught up, because I said, if we build on those children, because they were kids who went through,
Mm-hmm.
they make trouble and them get all them subjects and nobody supported them.
Nobody.
But the bad one, them get
Mm-hmm.
computer labs, them get outing, summer
Mm-hmm.
camps, this, that, and so on. When it
Mm-hmm.
should have been the flip. They should have seen those who are trying being rewarded
Right. And therein lies one of my concern, Claudette. I remember trying to get some funding. I got funding from JCF to do summer camp. And then the next time we went back to get funding to do another summer camp with some inner children, were not getting the exposure that they deserve. I was told we were not eligible to get funding because they're going to areas that had more people killed over the last year. So in my parish, enough people was not killed to make me qualified for the funding. And me, don't vex.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm saying no.
Yep.
So while you support where the people are being killed, why don't you support where none is being killed to ensure that the continuation of reduced crime remain in those areas? And until we get it right and understand it, we're going to continue to have the same problems. And that is why one of
Exactly.
my portfolios as a neighborhood watch president going forward for this dispensation that I'm serving is we need to create programs in communities that create and lift the positivity. Let the community be
Exactly.
heard about on the news for building a standpipe instead of always because somebody get killed. And so we need to change
Dr.
it.
Asha.
We need to use his skill sets. And I am calling on all who are listening to me just now. Everyone in Jamaica, wherever in the world you are. I know I have quite a bit of listeners in Africa as well. And I'm saying to those over there in on the continent, come together where you are and change the story where you are to create a united Africa. Let's come work together in Jamaica to create a united Jamaica. Let's start planning programs that we're in, even in the other countries that we have the black and white story. Let's stop having the black and white story and start having a people story.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
these trainings
Exactly.
that we are doing can become
They're
unified.
free.
And they are free.
They're free.
Yes, they are
I
free.
sent the
That.
I sent the recording of one of the meetings to someone, and they said, how much to come? And I said, they're free. They
And
are
I'll be
free.
sending the link to
And
quite a
Jamaica
few
needs
people.
this. The world
Yes.
need this because there's a bigger picture, in that which Her Imperial Majesty Queen Sheba III is very. She's looking at the status of the earth. She's looking at what is happening with humanity. And before her, I didn't hear anybody pushing and talking about the reset, the fourth industrial revolution, where we are switching, going now into the digital age more than ever. And a lot of people are not prepared. So while we're going around unaware of our understanding and misunderstanding and going around, the world that we're living in, we have to take an individual responsibility when we look at climate change, because if each one doing something, then Jamaica can make a difference and the world can make a difference, and we need to switch. Because when computerization switch over fully, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. Will they be able to reinvent and retool themselves? Will they be prepared? Right now, look at what COVID did in terms of even mental health.
COVID creates a blessing platform, if we want to be honest about it. It
Yes,
also
it has.
creates a blessing platform. I remember when I used to have to go to meetings in Kingston, and I would say to them, can I stay home and join the meeting? You remember those arguments we used to have after travel all the way from Tony? I said,
yes, the attitude.
Come in and sign the register. And now I having meetings and I don't have to register, sign, because we're having it on Zoom and everybody is in the meeting. And a matter of
they can use a Google registration form.
Sometimes you have more people coming to meetings now.
And it's international, because as our workshops show you, you can be there and there's someone from Holland, there's someone from Ethiopia, there's someone from anywhere, and they're talking about the life skills and how it is making a difference and changing their lives. And so families need this, because people come and they do training and will walk away. But when you do the life skills, you engage and you think about your own life and how you can improve and change and prepare yourself and your family.
And it's easily applicable. It's easy to apply it. It's easily applicable to our everyday life.
Everyday life.
And that is good. And
everyday life. And you asked
so we
about the
really
title.
need to be ready. Yes, my dear. Go on about those
Yes.
titles now. Yes.
Yes, it's Crown Regional Director for the Caribbean.
Okay, so
The
that's what
Crown
you're.
meaning that I was appointed by Her Majesty.
Okay, so
Yes, the
CR.
Crown meaning I was appointed by Her Majesty.
Okay.
CRD is Crown Regional Director,
Okay,
and it's
my
for the
child.
Caribbean region. But
Okay,
it's not.
awesome.
I'm not. The appointments and so on going to be coming later. So I'm in training right
Mm-hmm.
now for protocols and so on to
Right.
understand, because when you're dealing with traditional royals and so on,
Mm-hmm.
it's very, you have to know protocols. It's that you cannot just approach them like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people go to Africa and say, oh, that's a tribal, but it's because we have lost that, but we have tribalistic ways in other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just their honor and their way, their protocol and so on. So in that, in representing the Queen now, I have to be, because I am a hands-on person. I'm the girl who's going to do the dirty job at home and that kind of thing and so on, painting, that. It doesn't stop me doing that, but at the same time now I'm representing at a different level, on the Caribbean level, and I welcome the challenge. I welcome the challenge. I welcome role life skills. I am
Mm-hmm.
enjoying it, sharing with people, see how it's impacting on their lives, and knowing that when I leave, they are engaging. It's
Right.
not me coming to push, but they are engaging, and it is that change mindset that we are looking for. Because maybe in another program we could talk about it, the fact that the Queen has been given land in Congo physically, even though it's not where they were before the dams and so in Sudan. And when
Right.
you have been today, she was talking about when you are displaced as a country and all of a sudden you lose your land, are you're stateless, your
Mm-hmm.
banks and everything that you had, what do you do? All that money, you have it, but it means nothing to you. You understand me? So they
Right.
came to the Caribbean and held the culture. And when she went back and presented herself, there were family members. There was one in particular, was 119 years old, and
Wow.
he lived to see them come back.
Mm-hmm.
He saw them going, and they kept in touch, and he lived to see them come back, and he lived to take her through the 5 naming ceremonies that she had to go through to
Mm-hmm.
be the to be coronated as a queen. It took place over a period of time, nearly a year, for
Right.
all of that to happen. And she's been working because she had to go back. And some people say, oh, she's a fraud, she's a this, but she had to go and find her family. All of them, link them back, going back into Arabia and into wherever and bringing them. So it's taking time for things
Yes.
to be coming together. And we are, and we are, I'm happy to be in this time, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to know of this, to see this bridge going
Right.
back. And she
Mm-hmm.
is saying, because she was born over here as a 4th queen to be born outside of Africa, because she was born here. Her mother died recently. Her name was Queen Mary Janet VII. Her mother died recently. And so her grandmother and her great grandmother were born here, and she is back.
Mm-hmm.
So established, and she is it. Her throne. She's the head of the African Kingdom Federation
Mm-hmm.
and the queen of the Queendom of Sheba, and the queendom. The documents have been signed to establish the land, and will have the same status as Morocco.
Okay.
So I am just so excited to be a part of this. Rolling out the life skill. It is her desire that all humanity should have this mindset of integrity and honesty, knowing how to understand each other and your emotional tones and understand your dynamics of existence, giving you the tools to handle conflict, organizing, and it goes on. As I said, there are 19 courses. And when
Yeah.
I did that, I also engage in another set, which I'm going to send you, called The Ways to Wellness, and you're going to love that one.
Okay.
Yes, you're going to love that one.
Forward to it.
Yes.
I
And
look
there's a
forward.
human rights campaign as well, one for kids and one for, there are about 30 chapters in the human rights campaign. So it's an ongoing learning. So for someone like me who love to learn, can you imagine?
Yes, yes, yes. Because I really find them really good. I find them
Yeah.
helpful. It also
Yes.
helps in the booklets that I am writing,
Yes.
things from a different perspective
Yes.
and
Yes.
a simpler perspective and an easier
Simple, simple.
understanding. And for me, who have studied to the very highest level,
Yes.
thanks be
And
to
still
God,
studying.
and I will continue to ever study because, as I normally say to people, I'm a student, I'm a lifetime student. So
Mhm.
I am always learning something, always studying something, and
Mhm.
to be able to get the opportunity to appreciate these studies, these lessons that
Yes.
we are now studying, and at a free cost. All it takes is my time and
Yes.
my electricity.
Yes.
It's awesome, and it is also supporting and eye opening. And that is why I said to myself, I wanted us to start this conversation. I
Yes.
noticed, notice I said, start the
Yes.
conversation
I'm with you. I'm with you.
as
I'm
we
with
were
you,
only
Dr.
able
Asher.
to create the top of the things that I will want to bring to the
Yes.
people using the platform that I have, that we can internationally heal as a people, heal as a nation. And
Yes.
I am not selfish to Jamaica alone, but my main focus for me in my present dispensation is
It's a
where
word.
I'm laying my head.
Yes.
Because one of my mantra, part of my motto have always been to leave where I lay my head better than I found it,
Yes.
not worst. And
Not
so
worse.
this is one of the good things that I find. And so I say to myself, I should reach out to Claudette for her to let us start the conversation. And I was glad when you said yes, because
Thank
there's
you.
so much to understand. There's so much for us to do, to talk about in order to create that change we want. And I want us to, I know a lot of women are upset with me when I say this, but we are part of the challenge. We are part of the conflict creation of our nation and our society, a major part of it.
Yeah.
And if we want to see the change, we have to become a major part of the solution.
Exactly. And I want to just pinpoint something just
Yeah.
because of the life skill that I'm going to talk about in terms of our communication.
Mhm.
I communicated with you. You came
Yes.
into the workshop and you duplicated your understanding. Then
Mhm.
you communicated with me
Mhm.
and I have come into your, so that is a two-way. When I came to you as cause and you were
Mhm.
effect, that's
Mhm.
one way. Then when you became the cause and I am now effect, that is a
Yes.
two-way conversation. And that
Mhm.
is where a lot of times when we were studying communication, we'd have stopped and said we have
Yes.
communicated already because we had duplicated it, understanding, bro. But that's
Mhm.
one way. And we do the same thing with our children. But we have to then nurture for them to come with something new, not the same thing,
Right. Right.
something new. Because here you are with your platform now, reaching out and thinking about it. And that is how we are going to be building our reality together, you know?
And as you point out, Claudette, we need to continue to create this opportunity. So when I reach out to my kids and we reach out to our kids, we should
Mhm.
leave space for
Yes.
them to come back to us and at us with their version of their understanding,
Ah.
creating a dictatorship and say,
Mhm.
this is it, and it's my way or the highway.
It don't work.
It don't work. Only the creator should be
It
telling
creates,
anybody it's my way or the highway. We,
it
the
creates
created
anger.
beings, should
Mhm.
have space for other created beings to
Mhm.
introduce their interpretation
Mhm.
of their understanding.
Yes.
And
So
when
we
we're
have a reality.
do that and allow to have an affinity of everyone having that space to be and
Mhm.
create their own realities, we have reduction and hopefully someday, well, in this life we'll never have no form of conflict, but we'll have reduction of conflict and better
Mhm.
conflict
Mhm.
management,
Yes.
because we
Yes.
have a willingness now to allow the other person to come back to us in their reality And we
Yes.
are now open-minded enough to accept that this is not really how I would have done it, but this is the
Mm-hmm.
way the person wants to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that they have the right
Mm-hmm.
to be
Yes.
who they
Yes.
are.
The right to be who they are. Yes. Yes.
We have to do that.
Exactly.
And so, Claudette, it's
Exactly.
so wonderful that we can sit down
Mhm.
and have this conversation this evening. And as we're coming
Yeah.
to a wrap, I'm going to give you an opportunity now to put out one soundbite, your talk, your call, what you want to say, what's on your heart. Just speak to us now.
All right. So, my people, from the heart, I think it is very important for us to try and just balance ourselves in this time and to reinvent ourselves always, you know, by just trying to make our environment as safe as possible as we go through our daily lives. And it takes skills. So let's embrace the life skills and let's live positively in unity. One love.
One love. And say hi to your husband for me. I thank him that day
Will
when I
do.
reached out and he made sure he gave you my number that we could reconnect. So he is also a part
Yes.
of the ARC in us having
Yes,
this
he is.
happening. And so
Yes, he
he has
is.
much love and much thanks for me, and he remains in my love and my prayers. I have a true affinity
Yes.
for him. Stay blessed
I
and walk.
and when I heard
Yes, go
same
ahead.
to you, and when I heard the songs being played, I had high affinity also.
Yes,
Yes.
and that is
All
in
right.
blessings to Lady Julia.
Yes.
She picked her four
Wonderful.
best. And so we're going to always
Thank
go for the
you.
next one now, and then we use the last
All
one to
right.
close out the program.
Thank you, Lady
Right
Julia.
here with
Thank
you, and
you.
we will continue our
Thank you,
conversation.
Dr. Asher,
Yes,
for having me. Yes.
yes, blessed be.
Remember Romeo sitting on the beach early in the morning time. Remember Romeo sitting there thinking, I wonder what's on his mind. Remember Romeo, sometimes with us, sometimes someplace else. Remember Romeo, like you're living in a dream world, living all by
Yes, yes. And we have been talking with Lady Claudette. And of course, if you're wondering and you don't remember who her husband is, Billy Wilmot of Mystic Revealers. And guess what? Some of you might remember him on Royal Palm Estate. It's the same one. Oh, see the man there. Hi, Billy. How are you? You hearing me, Billy? Oh, you waved, you waved. Yes,
Yes.
it's good to
Yes. Yes.
see.
Yeah, man.
Sorry, I didn't unmute.
Oh, I
Yeah,
you
man.
block up the thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Hold on,
yeah.
let's see if we can hear the man. Hi, Billy. How
Yeah,
you
man.
doing?
I've been worse, so give thanks.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, man, it's good to be seen.
Amen. Amen. And I was giving her the message, but now I can tell you thank you for creating that link that we can reconnect with my sister.
All right,
I
wonderful. Yeah,
stay
man. I'm
blessed.
so
Walk
happy to.
good. Yeah,
All
man.
right, love.
All right. Walk good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love. Yes.
I love.
Remember Romeo sitting on the beach early in the morning time. Remember Romeo sitting there.
And as I go into my inspirational moment this evening, I want to say to you, own your journey. Stop living from the past. Own your present. Own the understanding of who you really are. And remember, you may have to do some of your journey all by yourself. So when you get to that place where you have to journey alone, embrace it, knowing that the divine, the creator, is always, always with you. So even when human companionship fail you. You can tap into the divine. You can walk whole. But I say to you, my sister, I say to you, my brother, as you journey in until we meet again next week, understand this. Until you come to like the man you see in the mirror, the woman you see in the mirror, you will continue to have struggles with the world, because conflict within will create conflict without. Walk good. Remember who you are. Remember you never journey alone, because you're ascendants of royalty. Stay blessed. I love you. Stay affirmed in who you really are.